Hey guys, Mr. Bowman here. Today's learning objective is in blue, and we are learning to solve equations with variables on both sides of the equal sign. So that's a long learning objective, and what I wanted to do is I wanted to go through 3 examples just to demonstrate what type of question we're trying to answer before we get into the 3 examples on the right. So the first question, 2x minus 4 is equal to 3. So if we have a look at the left-hand side, we can see an x, which means that has a variable on that side of the equal sign. We then have a look on the right-hand side. Just the number 3 is by itself, which means there is no variable on that side, which means that is an example that is not an equation with variables on both sides of the equal sign. So we won't be looking at that type of question today. The next question, we've got 4x plus 2 on the left-hand side. We have 2x plus 12 on the right-hand side. There is an x on the left, and there is an x on the right, which means that is an example of an equation with variables on both sides of the equal sign. And the last question, we've got 2 in brackets x plus 1 is equal to 3, and then in brackets x plus 2. The right-hand side, that has an x inside that bracket, and the left-hand side, that also has an x, which means that is also an example of a question with variables on both sides of the equal sign. So those bottom 2 questions, just down there, they are the type of questions we're going to be looking at and developing our skills for today. So let's get into some examples. We've got questions 1, 2, and 3 on the right-hand side, and we're going to go through the process to answer these questions. So before we can get into our reverse BEDMAS method, we need to get the x's on the same side. And how we do that is we add or subtract to eliminate some of the x's, leaving the x's on the other side. So let's have a look at the first equation. We've got 2x minus 7. That is equal to x plus 3. What I'm going to do is I'm going to get rid of this x on the right-hand side by doing minus x. And that means x minus x. That becomes to 0, so they cancel each other out. And because we've done it on the right-hand side, we have to do it on the left-hand side. So we're going to do a minus x there. So we're going to start our simplifying process. So that 2x minus x, that becomes x. And we've got minus 7, we haven't touched that. And that is equal to x minus x. That is 0, they cancel each other out, so we can ignore that. And 3, we haven't touched that either. And now that we're at this step here, this looks like the type of question we focused on in yesterday's video, so we can go through and use the reverse BEDMAS method to solve that equation. So we're trying to get x by itself, which means we need to get rid of this plus 7. Sorry, we need to get rid of the minus 7. And we get rid of that minus 7 by doing the opposite, which is plus 7. Because we've done it to that side, we must do it to the other side. And we can then go through again and simplify our line of working. So that x, that's been unchanged. So we're going to put an x there. Negative 7 plus 7, that comes to 0. So we can ignore that. And we've got 3 plus 7, that becomes 10. And if we get to that step, that's our final and correct answer. Okay, the next question. Again, let's inspect what we're looking at. We've got 4x plus 2 on the left-hand side, and we've got 2x plus 12 on the right-hand side. We have x's on both sides, and our job is to eliminate some of the x's to make sure they're only on one side. So again, let's focus on the smaller amount of x's. So we've got 2x over here and 4x over here. Let's get rid of that 2x by doing minus 2x. Because we've done it to that side, we must do it to the other side as well. And we got 4x minus 2x, that becomes 2x. We haven't done anything to that plus 2, so we'll put that there. The equal sign goes there. 2x minus 2x, that becomes 0, so we can just ignore that. And we're left with the 12, which we haven't done anything with. This line here, we have the x's on one side, which means we can then follow our reverse BEDMAS method to solve this equation. So on down the middle there, I'm dotting subtraction, which we don't have any because we've only got a times 2 and a plus 2. I've now dotted addition. We do have an addition in our equation. So we're going to get rid of that plus 2 by doing minus 2. Because we've done it on one side, we have to do it on the other side as well. So that 2x stays put. The plus 2 and the minus 2 cancel each other out. That is going to be equal to 12 minus 2, which is 10. Once we've done that, we now need to get rid of that times 2. We do that by doing divided by 2 and divided by 2. 2x divided by 2 is x, and that is equal to 10 divided by 2, which is 5. And if we got to that step, that is our correct and final answer. And the last way this type of question can come up is when the x's are hidden inside of some brackets. And the trick with these questions is before we can get to that x, we have to remove the brackets. And in our case, we're going to remove the brackets by expanding, and then we can worry about getting the x's onto one side of the equation after that. So let's expand that first side. So 3 times x is 3x. 3 times 1 is 3. That is going to be equal to 2 times 3x, which is 6x, and then 2 times negative 12, which is negative 24. At this stage here, that looks a lot like the beginning of the two previous questions. So we're going to try to eliminate the side with a smaller amount of x's. So we have 6 x's over here. We've got 3 over here. So let's try to eliminate those 3 x's. And we do that by minusing 3x, because 3x minus 3x comes to 0, and they've cancelled each other out. And because we've done it to the left-hand side, we must do it to the right-hand side. And we can go through and simplify. So that 3x minus 3x, they cancel each other out, leaving the 3 by itself. We've then got 3x, we've got 6x minus 3x. That becomes 3x's. And that minus 24, we haven't changed that at all. We now need to think the name of the game. We've got the x by itself. We need to use our reverse BEDMAS method to get rid of the 24 and the 3. So the first step is we need to think, is there any subtraction in our equation? Yes, there is. That minus 24 is subtraction, so we need to get rid of that by doing the opposite, which is plus 24. Because we've done it to one side, we must do it to the other side to make sure that equation is still balanced. And we then go through our simplifying process. So 3 plus 24 becomes 27. That is equal to 3x, because we haven't changed that, and 24 minus 24 becomes 0. They cancel each other out. Finally, we need to get rid of that times 3. The opposite of times 3 is divided by 3. And we must do that to both sides. 27 divided by 3 is 9. And 3x divided by 3, both 3's cancel each other out, leaving us with our x by itself. And if you got to that line of working, that is the correct answer. I would also like to note, if you wrote your final answer as x equals 9, because those have been switched around, that answer is still correct as well. So make sure you're marking those ones correctly. All right. Thanks for listening to the video, guys. Now it's really important. Let's have a go at some questions. Feel free to re-watch this video to help you understand the questions as you're doing them. And it's really important. Just make sure you're doing one step at a time. There's lots of steps, but make sure you're just doing one at a time. Okay, see you guys later.